I need to interrupt you because it's showtime for Enrique, our next keynote speaker, and I think that we can start. Can we start, Enrique?
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
So let
Ready.
me just introduce you very in a few short words, which absolutely do not reflect even a fraction of a person called Enrique Palafox. He's Mexican. Uh, we're very proud that he joined our organizational team this year, and we're not going to let him go ever. And in this Congress, so one of the organizers of this year's Congress. He's a doctor in modern literature and a creative designer based in Mexico City to be precise. He has experience working as a designer in entertainment and as part-time lecturer. He also has a master's degree in communications, and he is currently working on the adaptation of Dracula by Bram Stoker into media content and merchandising items. Apart from that, that you can read in our abstracts and biographies, uh, Enrique is also a founder of Dracula Store and the founder of the figure of the toy that you can see the portrait behind him right now. Am I correct? And so he's trying to portray Dracula as imagined by Bram Stoker, because as we know, the vision, the character got um, transformed into a very distant looking figure right now by cinema and many media, basically. But Enrique is trying to trace down how the character was imagined in the first place by Bram Stoker. So if you want to check out his Dracula toys, just visit the shop. I'm going to post the link in a moment in the chat as well because it's very interesting. Apart from that, the Dracula Place is a YouTube channel. He has been running for years now with lots of interesting episodes on vampires and gothic and horror, and interviews with really great name in the Dracula studies world. Um, and a super nice person apart from that. So whoever is not in touch with Enrique, I thoroughly recommend getting in touch with him, and just if you're up for a good fun, then he's your man. Over to
Well,
you.
Magda, I am so humble. Yeah, and thank you for those kind words. I'm very, very happy to be here. And let's talk about Dracula, guys, because this is a party. So thank you for having me here. It's a privilege for me to be part of the organization. So I want to talk about Dracula and the investigation I've been running for years. When I started in my academic career, I wanted to study Dracula, but the issue with that simple premise is which Dracula, because there are so many Draculas out there, and I believe it's not working. Yeah, which Dracula? That was my question, because this is important. There are so many different Draculas out there in the popular culture that it's certainly almost everyone has its own version. And if you run a simple search in Google about Dracula, Dracula logo, which is my kind of field, because I'm a graphic designer also, and I've been working with brands since the beginning of my career. If you run a simple search, you will find dozens and hundreds and hundreds of different manifestations of Dracula, different point of views that several artists have been taken since the beginning. So Dracula is a very popular character who has presence all over the world, in all our countries, in all our cultures, and almost everyone can do their own version of Dracula. And this is very interesting because there's a plethora of options of Draculas. There's the comic book version, there is the cinematic version, there is the Lugosi version, and that is important because for me, who I'm a very big fan of the original novel, for me, it was time for the original Dracula to continue his transmedial journey. I will talk about how Dracula has been jumping from media to media until having this huge presence around the world. But let me introduce myself first. My name is Enrique Palafox. I'm a conceptual designer in Mexico City. I have a master's degree in communications and a PhD in modern literature. So my background is a mixture of point of views, a mixture of disciplines. I've been working as a graphic designer for more than 20 years in the advertisement industry in Mexico, and at the same time I've been teaching advertisement and that kind of stuff in universities. So my background comes with a transmedial point of view. So that is why I want to share with you what I've been calling the transmedial journal of the original novel, the Dracula by Bram Stoker. So I want to start my talk today with this controversy. For me, which I am a huge fan of Dracula by Bram Stoker, Stoker wasn't the best writer of them all, but he was an outstanding multimedia content creator. We need to understand that in the times of Bram, communication, media communication was developing at the same time he was working in the Elysium Theater. So he was a very multimedia guy. He was an expert in theater, of course, because he had a particular passion of working in the theater. No, we know for sure that he was very devoted to Henry Irving. So that led him to planning all the tours of their presentations, and he knew how to use the media at his disposal. So he was very useful drawing schedules on trains and using telegrams and all the kind of media that was available at the time. He worked on the presence of Henry Irving for years, and he was behind the scenes, knowing all the production process of the theatrical production. So we know for a fact in his notes that he began a research of 7 years, that it was very rich. Dracula wasn't a suddenly success, or Dracula wasn't a one-hit wonder. He planned it by studying, by visiting on Whitby, by taking notes with his eyes. Dacre Stoker told me that he was a very good drawer. no, and he liked to take drawers, and we also discussed that he was a very good reporter, so he took notes on his travels to Whitby, on whatever place he took inspiration. We know for a fact that he consulted several important books that grounded his investigations in also in historic references. So for Bram to write Dracula, it was a huge process, a very detailed process, and Hans can tell us about the findings he has done about the research that Bram has done to complete his first publication of Dracula. And that is very important because Bram didn't take the novel only as the only main way to apply his narrative. The book was only a media for him to talk about Dracula. We know for a fact that 15 days before he actually published the novel, he put a reading, a stage reading, only to get the copyrights of the stage productions. So he was not only thinking about the book, but he was thinking about taking his narrative into the new media, in this case, the theater, because he was an expert on the theater, but I can bet he was willing to export his narrative into whatever media he can do it. So when he traveled to the States, he was the first one to put his narrative into newspapers, into these serializations that John Browning has talked about so much. And we know for a fact that he was in close contact with the editors that continue publish his book, because as we already know, Dracula has never been out of print. So this is important because the book was the first point of contact with the visual media for the narrative of Bram. So we can see this first edition in 1899. The first representations in visuals associated with Dracula was the castle. No, that is important because the first appearance of the Count Dracula was in the Archibald and Constable cover, and we can bet that Bram Stoker had contact with the artist or have like a approved process, no, for Archibald and Constable to release this cover, because this cover was released during Bram's lifetime. This one also is almost the same case, because we have a clear image of the Count, no, in this disguise as the coachman at the beginning of the story. But we can bet Bram had a close contact with this kind of illustration, and somehow he would approve this kind of images. So this is important because Bram continued to push the transmedia jump of his narrative all over the media he can hit. As Hans can testify, he pushed the translations of Dracula, and also kind of collaborations with other authors in order to create these new narratives and expanding the narrative of Dracula. So this is very important because we have for a fact that Stoker pushed the transmedial journey of his narrative. That was his goal. But the problem was that he didn't was able to push it forward into the new media that was very exciting at the time, that was the cinema. But I can bet if he had the chance, he would do it, that the Transmedia jump into cinema. And from the time of his death, his wife was in charge of taking the decisions of the way the narrative should go. And she began publishing a new chapter, in the Dracula narrative, which actually expanded also the narrative of the character, but she didn't pursue the jump into cinema. No, we can see at the moment in 1916 that this was a very clear reference of Count Dracula, very accurate to Stoker's description in the novel. No, but somehow Stoker's Dracula, somehow Stoker's Dracula didn't complete the transmedia jump to a medial, to a visual media on time. And that is a shame, because as we can see in 1921, not 1021, 19, sorry about that. No, that is wrong all the way. It's 1921. It was released, the first film who portrayed Dracula somehow. And this is important because it opened a new media for Dracula, and it was taken that place with other manifestations. As we know, Florence Stoker didn't like the version of Nosferatu, and Nosferatu was a very successful film that opened a new branch in the image of the vampire. So and it was so potent that it rests important to the original novel. And that was exacerbated with the release of the 1931 Universal film of Dracula, because this was a huge success in the popular culture. No, the image of Bela Lugosi was a hit all over the place, and he was an instant star, and he became so many popular that everyone started vinculating his image with the character that the Stoker recreated in his novel. It was until 1947 that both images merge in this kind of examples, in this kind of covers. We have the original text of Bram Stoker, but with an image of Bela Lugosi. So it was merged, the images instantly, because the popular image of Dracula is a transmediatic construction. That is very important to clarify. No, if we try to study the tropes of Dracula all over the world, we can talk about this image. This is one of my favorite image of Dracula's, because it resumes each trope of Dracula. We have the pointy hair, no, which is very Bela Lugosi. We have the cape collar, which is a contribution from the theater. No, we have the bats, we have the fangs, we have the medallion, we have the frag, which is also a thing from the theater. We have the skin color, no, which it doesn't happen in the movie, but it's a trope. And definitely Dracula became a womanizer because of the films. And in the 50s, he adopted the color from the Hammer versions. So at this moment, we can bet that Bram Stoker would not recognize today his creation. If he was alive today and he saw this Dracula that it's in the popular images, he wouldn't recognize it at all. Because this is important, a picture is worth 1,000 words, no? And that is very important for my investigation, because as we can see, no, in the blood, the impaler branch of the Dracula mythos, no, it has also created a huge impact in the media, no, with a film of Francis Ford Coppola, with also merge both of the mythos, no. Blood the Impaler has been very present in the popular culture as Dracula. So for me, at the beginning of my investigation, we have in the world 3 different branches of Dracula. The first one is the historic Dracula. The second one is the literary Dracula. And the third one is the mediatic Dracula. So when I was at the beginning of my career choosing which Dracula I will try to study, I picked the literary one, and I'll try to give him the image that was attached in the novel, but it has been lost in time over popular culture. So the question of my investigation that drives my investigation is, what if Dracula by Bram Stoker had been faithfully adapted into a visual media, no, to complete the transmedial jump that the narrative had. So this is a creative investigation. As I told you, my background is very diverse. So this is a creative investigation that makes sure my expertise in literature, in Dracula, with media management, and with the visuals of a graphic designer. So let's begin. Okay. So the objective of my investigation is to complete the transmedial journal that Stoker's Dracula began with, and it was stopped, and to fill the blanks left of the lack of visual that this narrative has been creating in with other media, with world representations, but not vinculated with a original narrative. So to start working in the project, I needed to create a creative concept. So I went to the basics, and Dracula is for me, it's an horror novel. It is not a romantic rom novel, which is the popular image of Dracula, no, with this vampire who sold his soul to the devil to reunite with his bride, with his Elisabetta, no, which is mainly the Francis Ford Coppola theme of his movie. But the original narrative, it's a very horrific novel. It deals with the devil, as Hans already talked today, no, the Scholomance. It has a very powerful insights in the novel. So the presence of the devil, no, it's very important in the novel, and it has been lost over the time because of the romance or whatever. No, the figure of the devil has been lost in the Dracula's lore. The second theme of the concept that I developed, it was realism, because we know for a fact that Bram took precise notes of factual events, of historical events, or things that he witnesses, or places that he traveled, or things that he investigated. So everything was very, very grounded. So my concept, my Dracula, has to resemble that. It has to feel real. For me, in more than a sense, and I've been joking about this in Spanish, for me, Dracula is the Blair Witch Project of the literature. No, it's like this. You can almost feel and sense the documents, no, that drives you into the narrative. And that leads me to the third branch of my concept, which is the ephemera. No, this obsession to have this memorabilia, no, of the thing, and this is a very transmediatic novel, because you can almost feel the papers, you can almost feel the letters, you can almost feel the work of Mina typewritten into letters. So combining those three elements, I came with a concept, no, of how the Dracula should be. And that was complemented later with a visual investigation that took me like 2 years to gather all the images I could find over the internet that resembles me, Dracula. This is, for me as a graphic designer, very important, because I needed to have visual references of the world I've been trying to recreate. So the visual investigation was an important part of my process, because I needed to go back in time and travel to the Victorian era and see how things work in those areas, see the textures of the photographs, see the textures of the papers, see the textures of the inks, no, to try to make a very clear idea of in my mind of what I was dealing with. So the first step of this journey was an invitation I've had to present a piece of artwork in the LA Art Show in 2015. So I came with the idea of this cabinet of curiosities. 1 year earlier, I met Guillermo del Toro in Comic-Con, and I was able to talk with him about cabinet of curiosities, and I got the idea of having a cabinet of curiosity about Dracula with the objects that are very important to the narrative. Nowadays they are calling the gizmos or whatever, but in Dracula there are so many objects that are very, very important for the narrative. No, we are talking about letters, so I tried to recreate the letters as faithful as possible. No, that was important for me because I could feel the textures, I could feel the materials, I could feel how it should look, a work made very artisanal, resembling the Victorian era processes. So this was the first step of my process, to have a physical representation of what I had in my mind. Then it was this was very scary at the same time, but it was very insightful to adapt Dracula into Facebook. This year it was a trending topic. There's maybe some of you follow the trending topic that Dracula was published in real time over the internet, over Twitter. I did it that way in 2017, but in Facebook, and that was very important because Facebook, as a graphic designer, allowed me to play with visuals, allow me to play with text, and allow me to play with video also. So I decided to go Facebook, to start adapting the unabridged text of Bram Stoker's Dracula in real time as things happen. So what happened in the 7th of September, no, I published in real time the 7th of September, and it was the entire book, the entire unabridged book, which is available online. So this is the first adaptation into social media of Dracula, and it was fully illustrated because as I worked in advertisement several years, I was able to visualize the entire novel. No, as I had a huge image reference of my previous investigation, I was able to make this kind of illustrations, to be very precise about the adapting the text into visual objects like this one. This is the clip of the Daily Graph, who actually has the unabridged text of the novel. So if you read this piece, you are reading the novel, which is that kind of way that it should be read. So next time I was trying to imagine how things took place, and as I worked in advertising, I began making a casting call. So I began to visualize each of the characters: Van Helsing, Mina, Jonathan Harker, Lucy, each of one of them, Mrs. Westenra, Renfield, Holmwood, John Seward, and Quincy, and the three evil sisters, and the captain of the boat, which is very important character for me, Mr. Swales, and that kind of stuff, to give visual identity to these characters that had been in my mind since I read Dracula, no, the sister Agatha. That is important because I was visualizing the journey of Jonathan Harker, no, and trying to see the things the way he had been done, seen it. So I searched for visual representations of Munich, of the time of the era. I made all the ephemera, and start illustrating all the narrative in real time. This is a very I really like this, the way it finalizing, because the results of this, because in a way it gives me the sense of how the novel should be visualized. So that was adapting Dracula into Facebook. And that Facebook was very important because that was my first contact with the academic world and the world of Dracula, because I can establish contact with some of you guys, no, because as I study most of you, and I have your books. Facebook give me the opportunity to contact many of you, and to continue with my investigation. So the next topic in my investigation was finding the genius loci. I talked to Hans about this early in the morning. In graphic design, it's very important for us to feel the place where we are trying to recreate, because you can not read about that. You need to go to the places, and you need to feel the places. So when I established contact with Dacre, I went with him to Transylvania to make a visual investigation. No, you can see blood on the background. But I began a visual investigation of Transylvania. How does it feel, Transylvania? I can have a clear image in my mind of Transylvania, because Transylvania has been very popular over the media as a graphic designer, I needed to be there and taking photographs and investigating. This was very important for me. I went at the Shigishwara cemetery at midnight. I was alone at dark, and at some moment I lost power of my only light, and I was in complete darkness in the cemetery. And that was very important because I needed to feel the fear of being in a Transylvania cemetery, because I needed to have reference for my book. So I took thousands of images over there, and I was very dragged to the products that accompany the Dracula in Transylvania, because although Transylvania at the beginning didn't went very well with the Stoker narrative, nowadays is very important because it attracts a lot of tourism. So we can see the merge of the image of a traditional Dracula, no, with the mediatic Dracula in objects. And I was very drawn at that in my investigation, because it is very important. And I came to the conclusion that objects are very important to the representation of a myth. So Transylvania is full of brands who use Dracula as a pretext of attract attention of the tourism. So for me, merchandising and promotional items are cultural objects, no? That gives a relevance to narratives, no? And that leaves me with the final process of my investigation, who has been designing original artwork closely inspired by Dracula by Bram Stoker. So with everything that I've been talking about, I began to imagine the narrative of Dracula in different products as media, the product as the continuation of a narrative. No, so the things that I started designing was very close, inspired by the novel, so that I literally took the same logo to complete the transmedial jump that Bram started. So I started working in visuals, no, trying to represent Dracula, no, the most faithful way as I could be. No, I try to imagine the world in posters that are very popular in popular culture. No, trying to give Dracula a presence, no, of the novel in almost all of the narrative. No, that I began. Sorry about that. I began to working with visuals in video to give an audiovisual experience. The sounds you hear, this the foghorn in Whitby. So everything has to be very close to the original novel. So I began to adapt Dracula into cultural objects with a couple of friends of mine who are awesome artists. We created, this is the first stop motion action figure inspired by Dracula of Bram Stoker. Then we went a little further, because nowadays a trend to have action figures. No, we can see it all over the place. Action figures, it's a media of communications. It's very implemented by Marvel and other expanding universes in narratives. So we created this, which was the first action figure inspired Dracula by Bram Stoker. No, we took several notes of Dracula. And then we are moving forward, trying to make like a more popular character. No, as you know, Funko is a very popular type of characters that are being sold there. So we are doing the Funko kind of products, but in crochet, no, in plush, no, to have this transmedia of the all the characters, no, translated into cultural objects. Finally, and this is where I right now, we created the first Dracula NFT. You know, we are about to make the jump into the digital universe. So Dracula is already there, no, with the presence, and it's the image of Bram Stoker's Dracula. And I began working with several Mexican artists, no, to develop this conscience of popular culture around the novel, no, trying to recreate covers of the vintage comic books, trying to use several point of views, no, in order to fill the blanks left by the lack of production of images of the novel. And finally, all of this became in the Facebook page, which is called the Dracula Store, in which I continue with contact with the fans, no, trying to take in the original narrative, no, and trying to build a fandom, no, and then we went for the Dracula Store, which is the place where everything, this kind of cultural products based on the novel, based on the novel, can be displayed. So this has been my investigation. Nowadays, we are adapting Dracula into merchandise and visual products. And the next step in my process is to take it forward and build more popular products, like a board game. I'm developing the first board game completely based on the narrative of the novel. You're going to play like in this first stage as Jonathan Harker, and you need to escape from the castle, no, and everything has to be related with the novel. The blueprints I use for the castle are the blueprints Stoker used for his narrative. You can see the octagonal room in the center, no, and it is going to be called Scholomance because as Hans well know, the Scholomance is the starting point of Dracula. So that is very important to be related with that. And finally, I'm producing the adaptation of Dracula, the unabridged text of Dracula into a podcast experience, a binaural experience. You're going to feel the entire novel in 3D sound. And we have already the voice of Mina Harker, and it should be released by next year. So this is the team I've been working with. I've been leading this team because of my expertise in branding and licensing and with Dracula. No, but as I've been teaching from 24 years, I had a lot of contacts with several artists in Mexico. So I have Arturo de la Mora, which is a wonderful sculptor. I'm collaborating with Javier Alcántara, which make wardrobe for the toys. Andres Basurto is a wonderful plastic artist. Eric Serrato knows everything about stop motion. Javier Verduzco, Yayo Mendoza, and Carlos Garcia are my primary illustrators. So if you want to follow our work and stay in contact with the project, you can follow Dracula by Bram Stoker on YouTube. No, we have plenty of collaborations with the entire academic world of Dracula, and you can follow me on Dr. Palafox on Instagram. And if you like, you can support this investigation on the Etsy store. And that's it, guys.
It's amazing.
Thank you very much, Enrique. It is amazing. The whole research, the whole project, and the products. It was wonderful to watch and see again.
Enrique, do you fund all your projects yourself?
Yes. I'm an independent researcher, so I'm trying to find. I mean, the Dracula story is one of the ways to try to found this investigation, because as each of my colleagues know, trying to live of the investigation of Dracula is a very huge problem.
Yeah, I can testify to this as a scholar specializing in Dracula. Exactly. And this answering your question, Alex, about whether we are getting paid for this conference.
No.
Absolutely not. None of
It's amazing. I mean, Enrique, there is a board game that we were filmed playing at the festival called A Fury of Dracula, where he is, it's a map of Europe. And yeah, I'm trying to get you back. There you are. I can see you on the screen. And I wanted to ask, you said Mina has already been cast.
Yeah.
Do you need any other, perhaps Renfield?
Oh, thank you. That should be lovely, because I'm doing it now in Spanish.
Oh,
I forgot to mention it because I'm in Mexico. So the first round will be in Spanish, but obviously,
yeah.
If it goes successful, we can do
but
it.
Can I not just
in English, and I will take casting calls.
Can we not like just give me the cue cards in Spanish and I'll read it out? Like, you know, like I can be Spanish. I'm Spanish. Like, I mean, Renfield doesn't. Wait, I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, he does have quite a few lines. But but it's just, damn it. But I just
wonderful, man. Please stay in contact with me. Contact me in over Facebook, and
maybe we can find something like a where was that? Is there like a silent character in Dracula? Like mime? Maybe a mime. Maybe like a mime. That just as long as I'm credited. And I wanted to say about the dolls. You said there was a costume maker who did dolls, and like I make porcelain dolls, and I studied costume at uni. I wish I'd studied something else, but I would love to collaborate with you on something, anything, because it was all like, it was just all so amazing, wasn't it? Like I just it's all being recorded, isn't it? So I'm gonna watch it back and see your
staying contact,
everything you've produced. It's, how do you produce it all? Like, because I have an illustrator who did illustrations of my book, and I found a website that produces cards. And I really wanted to invent like a card game around my book, but I don't have...
You can find all kind of suppliers if you look forward over the internet.
And then when you do it, how do you, I mean, is your focus to break even or to make a profit? Do you make a profit?
No, at this moment, my focus is to try to push forward the narrative. I'm super broke, so
okay, not just me then.
There is no profits at all.
But what I wanted to ask was there a pressure? Was there a pressure to make a profit?
My investigation is to push forward the original narrative into different media.
Wow, because I always loved the Blue woman, Lucy, and always wanted to do.
We should definitely talk about this later. Let me take.
Sorry, more questions from other people.
Let's stay in contact, and see what we can collaborate together.
But yes, if we have any more questions, please, now is the time.
Oh, I do have a good one. How long did it take you to produce the board game? Like, do you write the rules yourself, and then do you play with like a cardboard scrap piece?
Yeah, I've been developing for almost like a year, and I'm like 50% of the process. So I will need to start working on it. But then again, you need foundings to do it, because it has to be very, very well organized.
Hans?
Yeah, I want to congratulate Enrique on his ongoing efforts to create new visual materials to let us help imagine the story. I know it is a tremendous amount of work, even more than pure academic text research. I know it from my own Dracula stories. It took me 2 years to get 40 pictures together. So yeah.
Yeah.
even that was only improving the graphics. That the original Ultimate Dracula, the photo story, was also 2 years project. Cost me a lot of money. It didn't get into the profit zone, but it was very satisfying, and it's very important for the whole Dracula field that someone works not only with text but also with visuals. And so I say, go on with this.
Thank you, Hans. This is very important for you, for me, your opinion. I'm a big fan of your work, you know that.
I would like just to make a comment for Enrique. Not actually a question, because like Magda, we are listening to your research all the time. And but it's impressive. I was thinking about this specific presentation because it's the same presentation you did 1 year ago in 15 minutes, and now you took this whole hour with basically the same presentation, but it expanded enormously, and it's very interesting to see that you have two sides of your research, that is the theoretical side and the practical side, that you have some products that you develop. And the first time you already had this, and this time you had an increasing background in the theoretical part that is all obviously really challenging, and an incredible, amazing expansion in the products that you made. So it was quite impressive for me to see the beginning of this presentation 1 year ago, and now this impacting new part of your research now. It was took my breath away, actually. It was incredible.
Thank you, Yuri. That is important for you to say, because as I told you, I believe that came from my different backgrounds. I cannot left the graphic designer part of me in this kind of investigation. So I mix everything, and that can be used in academia or in a more designing way. But what you mentioned is very important, because for me it was so important to have the academic background to start working, because this is not like a thing that I started imagining from scratch. It has this academic and solid background.
That was very. I actually have a very short question. One thing that you mentioned during the presentation, you said that a character of the captain on Demeter is a very important character to you. Can you reveal what's the reason for it?
Yeah, because that episode is lost over the media. Normally, it doesn't make the jump. So if you watch a horror movie like Alien, it's the same narrative, almost the same. You have this monster hidden in the dark who is taking one of the members of the crew until one is left. That is the same narrative of the Demeter voyage. So I'm very fond of those characters that hasn't made the transmedial jump into the visual media. That applies to the captain and the whole crew of the Demeter. The Renfield character who has been with another train of representations, and Sister Agatha, who is lost in time also. So I'm very fond of those secondary characters in the narrative that doesn't have a huge amount of representative over the media.
Thank you very much. Well, I think it changes in a way because 2020 Dracula BBC had Sister Agatha as a main character, and Renfield is coming, so we have another story.
And the Demeter film is coming, so that will be the first big film portraying the Demeter journey.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you so much. Are there any more questions to
Get out.
Sharon? Is it to me by any chance?
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, sorry, I'm telling my chinchilla off. I do apologize, Magda.
I did think so, to be honest. I thought you were talking to your chinchillas.
Sorry, can you mute me? Sorry, I didn't realize.
Yes. Okay, guys. Any more questions or comments to Enrique?
One last one, Enrique. I loved your observation about Alien. Now, I have never thought about this, and this is a great idea. I think we should talk about it for a future paper for us to write, because it's a great idea.
Please do. Let's do this. You know, I'm very open to new collaboration, so let's do it.
I'm in, by the way. If you thought that
anyone else jump in. Anyone else jump in.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
And again, congratulations, because that was outstanding.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.